So before I get to the photo itself, a little bit of background. I was born in 1980. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. And back then, if you wanted to listen to music, you had to turn on the radio. And if you wanted to hear a specific song, you had to actually call the radio station, hope that someone picked up, and then request that song. And if you were lucky, they would actually play that song, but it would take maybe an hour for them to play it. And then it might, like, you might miss it. Hopefully, you had a tape recorder handy so you could record it. It was nothing like today. And I'm not going to say it was the good old days because I'd way rather just, if I want to hear a song, just hear it immediately. But that's how music was back then. And in between every couple songs, there was a commercial or several commercials because that's how they paid for the music. They ran ads constantly. I guess I don't listen to Spotify, but I guess that's how Spotify works too. So maybe the concept is not too unfamiliar to a lot of people today. I'm one of those guys. Like, I still buy music. I don't subscribe to music streaming services. I buy it, but I kind of take the middle ground. I buy it on iTunes. So I buy about one album a month digitally. Like, I purchase it and then I can download it and listen to it without cell data or anything. And I know that's kind of antiquated. Like, oh, come on, why don't you just pay $9 a month for iTunes or Apple Music or Spotify and just listen to anything you want? My answer is, I don't know. I guess I just like buying an album a month. So where I'm going with all this is, back in the 90s, there were these commercials where I grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, for a diamond jewelry store called Sartor Heyman Jewelers. And they had this commercial. Like, the guy would come on and, like, I forget, was it Don Heyman? I don't know. The owner would come on. He'd be like, I am so-and-so from Sartor Heyman Jewelers, and we have this new diamond. It's called the Hearts on Fire diamond. And then they would go on to say how it's like the most precisely cut diamond, and you can only get it at Sartor Heyman and all this stuff. And I never saw one of those diamonds. I don't know what he's talking about. But I remember that commercial so much that now in like 2023, I was walking around the Botanic Gardens with my family, and I saw this little heart dangling from a chain. It's a plastic heart, very clearly. It's not fancy, and it's a rusty chain dangling from a tree that someone put there. And when I put myself so that the sun was behind it, which, again, like, that's 3 weeks in a row I've got a backlit photo. It kind of like sparkled a little bit, and you see all these facets of different colors. Like, there's purple, there's green, there's orange, and it was almost like the heart was on fire. If that makes sense. And it reminded me there, like, in the Botanic Gardens, of that radio commercial I heard when I was a kid about the Hearts on Fire diamond, which I think was probably more diamond shaped than a heart. It certainly wasn't a plastic heart. But I don't know, I guess some things stick with you. I shot this at f8, 1/350th of a second, ISO 450, and the trick was getting the diamond in focus and backlit. And it wasn't that tricky. It was just mostly, there's not a whole lot tricky about this. Just, it was a fun photo to take, and then it makes for a fun story to tell with the name. So I don't want to get too, like, if you're curious about the exposure, you can always, if you're on YouTube, click the link to the photo. If you're on the blog, click the photo itself and go to Flickr, and you can see more of the EXIF data. But to me, it's mostly it's a fun photo that conjures up some interesting memories of a different time, I guess, thanks to the Sartor Heyman Hearts on Fire commercial.